Live from parts unknown, you're listening to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Podcast, the only wrestling podcast on the planet, we think. Sit back, relax, prepare for positivity to run through your veins as Simon Miller gives you your weekly dose of powerful pro wrestling audio. It is Miller Time.
Hello and welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show. My name is Simon Miller and this is a pro wrestling show. We are when am I going to put this live? I don't know. We'll say a day. We are 1 day away from SummerSlam 2019. Maybe it's later on. Maybe it's 2 days away. Who knows? And of course, that is quite a big deal. I think so. It's quite exciting. It is the second biggest pay-per-view, at least in WWE's eyes. I know some people like to go the Royal Rumble, but I don't think WWE sees it that way. Not that we need to argue over such things. If you are listening to the podcast for the first time, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just search for Simon Miller on YouTube to get even more wrestling podcast content, a load of other stuff from me. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at SimonMiller316. And all of this is sponsored and supported and backed, whatever you want to call it, by patreon.com/SimonMiller316, which means you can even come on the podcast, which is what happened today because my great friend James is joining me. James, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Simon. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm pumped. All the positive words that I can possibly think of. But first and foremost, dude, good to have you back. It's been a little bit of a while.
It has been a bit of a while. You know, life gets in the way of things. And
Doesn't it just? Well, look, let's start with the big question of the hour. As people know, we are going to run down the SummerSlam card here and try and figure out what's going to happen. Are there any surprises in store? But before we get there, James, we need to know, everyone knows where I sit on things at the moment. Have you been enjoying WWE? Do you think WWE sucks? Happens sometimes. We get people on the podcast, they're like, what a pile of crap. And I'm like, excellent. But yeah, dude, what's your take over the last, let's say 6 months or the last couple of months? I mean, I think personally, the last 4 weeks from pay-per-view to pay-per-view has actually been pretty good connective stuff. I think it's been all right, but I understand I have a very positive look on the product.
I mean, yeah, the past 4 weeks, it's starting to, you can see the changes taking place. You're getting a connective story, and it's helping with the changes, obviously, with Paul Heyman and, well, if Eric Bischoff is involved, we don't know anymore whether that's the case, but yeah, there's definitely a change, and it's a good change. So yeah, the stuff that they're doing with the 24/7 championship, I think, is really helping the positivity with WWE. They're really having to push that out, and it's such a surprise considering how that was launched, with Mick Foley just sort of lying it on the ground and going, there you go.
Yeah.
Whoever wants that can have it.
Do you know the weird thing about the 24/7 title is that, I mean, I quite liked it when it first arrived, but a lot of people didn't. But because they've stuck to their guns and made it consistent and allowed you to enjoy a story, everybody now likes it. It's almost like they should do that with the entire card, isn't it?
It's as if having consistent story week to week helps get people involved and interact with it and invested. It's a strange concept that they might pick up on. But I mean, being facetious and everything, in general, stuff is picking up. I mean, we had that dreadful sort of end of 2018 where Baron Corbin was getting blamed for the drop in the viewership and everything else. But then we had a good run into WrestleMania. We had a drop-off then after WrestleMania where Becky Lynch, the man, she's got lost because we've sort of paired her with Seth Rollins, and that just didn't work.
No, it didn't. Yeah.
It should have been two champions taking on all comers, and unfortunately, their on-screen chemistry didn't exist. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time for Becky to get back into that swing of things where she was the man. She just needs to feel special again. Hopefully, whether this Natalya match coming up is the thing to kickstart it, who knows? But we'll see.
So go on, man. You go.
So in general, like, I've diversified more. Obviously, you've got AEW absolutely on a roll. Everyone's goodwill is with them. Being the Elite, I'm watching weekly and really enjoying sort of that just little snippet.
Were you watching it before, or has it got you just because of the way that AEW's exploded recently?
I started watching it after All In last year.
Wow. So it was all that got you. That's amazing, man. I love it.
So it got me in. I remember talking to you, this time last year, exactly to the day that we're recording this, and saying I didn't know any of the wrestlers for All In, really. I'd heard of some of them. But yes, from there, I've just dived into that sort of world and enjoying that aspect. And I think I'm getting my enjoyment from that, and I'm still enjoying WWE. I'm not hating WWE. I take it for what it is. Yes, it's a bit hokey and a bit see what sticks, throw everything at the wall. But, that's what it is at the moment. But as I say, we're building. Something is happening, and I can't wait until October.
Oh, man, yeah, that's a big one, yeah.
And that is going to be, right, what is the response to AEW? What is Hell in the Cell going to be like? Because I think that's sort of the week of AEW's launch. And, yeah, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
Damn right it is. That is the best thing about it. It is a good time to be a wrestling fan. We obviously spoke before we started chatting, since I hit the record button, about, again, it's been a year since we've chatted and how so much has changed, but also so much has stayed the same. It'd be cool to, because the AEW thing, like you mentioned, which was a year ago, we were building up to All In 12 months ago, wondering what it was going to do. And as we know, it launched a company. But then, you look over at WWE, as we were joking about. I know it's not to the day, but Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon are feuding, which they were doing pretty much a year ago. AJ Styles is the United States champ. Was that 2 years ago? I can't remember.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago. But the point being that what an amazing way to look at how things go in these weird circles. And yet, you look outside of that bubble and we've got a brand new company that, by all intents and purposes, are going to become this huge deal. They certainly haven't, hinted that it's going to go the other way. And but it's kind of strange because you could criticize Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. I think if Kevin Owens wins, again, we'll talk about this in a sec, but I think if he wins, we can finally underline the fact that he is a babyface. I think he's a good babyface. And it will take Shane McMahon off my TV for a while, which I think most people will appreciate just because he is a bit overexposed at this time. So, again, to me, I know some always the same old stuff. Yeah, but if needs must and it serves the story, I'm all right with it. Let's just go forward.
Exactly, and it's strange when we were sort of preparing for this and looking and going, heck, the more things change, the more they stay the same. We have a babyface who's going up against Brock Lesnar that people aren't convinced about. I mean, where have we heard that before?
It's the Brock Lesnar effect. Clearly,
it is, and we have Daniel Bryan tearing it up, but. It's not the goodwill comeback. It's heel Daniel Bryan, which, a year ago, who would have thought we'd been in that situation?
Especially when he came back. We forget. We move on too quick sometimes in wrestling. We should still be in awe of the fact that Daniel Bryan made this miraculous return, and now we boo him. That is just incredible, right?
It's a crazy world, and just looking at the card, and yes, we've got AJ Styles as the US champ, which we had 2 years ago, and everything like that, and you think, well, actually, it feels fresh and it feels new, but then you go back and go, hold on a second, but that's the way things are. They are cyclical, and they go back, and the way that Bray Wyatt has come, and this time last year we had the Deleters of Worlds, which remember them. It's a crazy thing that Bray Wyatt can be in a position where he's the hottest thing in WWE at the moment. And a year ago, they didn't know what to do with him. They had Matt Hardy with the Broken Woken stuff, and
when did he dress up like a woman as well? When was that?
Yeah. So that's the 2 years ago again.
The 24-month bizarreness of WWE is not lost on me. Dude, let's start there as well. Let's start with Bray Wyatt versus Finn Balor. Why the hell not? Obviously, we're going to see Bray Wyatt in the ring for the first time ever since his comeback. We all hope he's going to be the Fiend. My personal wants would be that we kind of do it like Kane, so the arena is maybe dimly lit, or I just think it's a really good idea to ensure that when he's in the ring wrestling, it doesn't feel like you're just watching a wrestling match. And if you need to pull out all the old tricks, then do it. I've got no problem with that whatsoever. I don't know. I'm not saying it has to be red like Kane, but just pick what you think works and go from there. And I think this is probably one of the easiest things to predict, because if WWE does anything other than have Bray Wyatt win, I may actually stop watching WWE. Like, no joke, that's a real thing. I may not be able to take it because, we don't know if this sabbatical that apparently Finn Balor is going to take for a couple of months is real. But either way, when you've got somebody as hot as Bray Wyatt who has finally dragged themselves back up to where we wanted to see him, to then make him lose would be the dumbest. I mean, it'd literally be one of the dumbest things they've ever done.
I am a huge Finn Balor guy, but yeah, this is... Imagine if they did it though. Imagine if they...
Well,
yeah, but they can't.
Well.
It'd be the biggest psych in the world. No, the Bray Wyatt thing, if they do that strobe lighting weird effect for the match, just bring him in. Don't have any theme music, just have that lights just fading away, him suddenly appearing, bang, mandible claw or whatever he wants to call it, Balor from nowhere, done. Finish that. No real offense from Balor at all. I don't want to see that. I just want it a very quick squash match. This is the guy. This is someone who is supernatural and has these powers and puts the fear into everyone. I mean, it would be interesting to see what they do with him afterwards as well. Like, who is the next victim of this fiend? Because it needs to be someone important.
I agree. I mean, absolutely. I think we discussed it on the podcast in the week where you've got to treat this like a promotion almost. And if Finn Balor is a marketing executive, you need to make sure the marketing boss is the next person on the line. Like, he has to work his way up and he has to work his way to something big. And I totally agree with you, especially because it looks like we're going to be like 6 hours worth of SummerSlam. I need a couple of respites, one of which, again, we'll talk about it in a sec, should be Dolph Ziggler versus Goldberg. But also here, I totally agree that we should, try and come up with just a way that Finn Balor can get absolutely destroyed. And it's not like, if he's away for 2 months, it's not going to hamper his character or anything like that anyway. So, just put Bray Wyatt over as much as you can so we can all start believing in that character and what the future may hold. I think it's really important.
And I think as well with the Finn Balor character, I mean, since January when he had that amazing match with Brock Lesnar, they gave him an Intercontinental run twice and didn't really do anything with him. That character can take this 2 months off, let him rest, let him recuperate, let him heal if he's got these injuries or whatever he needs to sort out, get him back in. He'll get a massive pop when he comes back.
Yeah, it's true.
And if they want to do something different with him, put him in with the club. That would work if the club is still going at that point.
I think that the best reason, if you did that, at least you're then establishing that the club isn't just going to be one of these, we were around for a day and then we left, which WWE does tend to do with its stables. You want. I mean, I don't want to NWO it, but you should start adding people to your ranks to show that you're a force and that you want to be taken seriously. So yeah, I totally agree with that idea. I think it'd be great. Yeah,
I think just judging by WWE's sort of output recently, they've been doing a lot about factions and stables and bits, and I feel like there is I proposed it in the Facebook group about a New Day club feud going on forward, and just seeing maybe could you push that for Survivor Series and bring those two groups against each other and people joining up and being part of the New Day. Like Kevin Owens was part of the New Day for 2 weeks, and it was brilliant. It was great fun. Well, could you do something like that again? We'll see. But yeah.
And the good thing about that is that we finally move away from Raw versus SmackDown when it comes to Survivor Series, which in no way WWE may even, if they even dare think about it, I'm going to go around and just like slap them or something, because not in a million years can you try and pull that off after the wild card rule and whatever nonsense. But I know they've kind of scaled back on that now, but I know WWE thinks we forget, but we don't. No. So, if you actually do a faction thing, so like you say, New Day versus the club and, whichever ones you may be able to to bring out by then. I think that'd be really fun, and I think it would be different, and it would feel a bit like traditional Survivor Series, which I do miss. I do miss those kind of two teams clashing together. Even if like you want to make the main event a dream team, I know they've done that somewhat in recent years, but I like it. I think why just have another pay-per-view that feels like every other pay-per-view? Why not try and give it? You don't have to have a world title match on every single show. Just make me care about what we're doing, and I'll be okay.
Exactly, and it's a long enough build from now until November to do that and to get people to care. And maybe, I don't know, the dream scenario, obviously NXT, you've got the Undisputed Era that hopefully this weekend will grab all the belts, and you've got another strong faction that you can bring in if needs be. Now, to be honest, I'd hold back on that until next year, but if the timing's right, the timing's right, and you go for it. But we'll see where that goes. But
won't we just, James? So okay, we're going for Bray Wyatt in that one. Now we're trying to flip things back. I don't like doing it, but it's true. Drew Gulak versus Oney Lorcan for the Cruiserweight Championship. Probably going to be on the pre-show. Probably going to be quite not an easy win, but quite a anticlimactic win for Drew Gulak, but the match will still be great. I mean, that's just what we do now, isn't it? When it comes to 205 Live, really good show at the moment. Actually, I mean, I don't watch it all the time, but I try and keep up. Stories make sense. Obviously, the matches are great with the guys that they've got. The 205 Live thing's been thrown out the window because everyone weighs more than 205 down there now. But hey, it's a good program if you have time to, fit in some extra wrestling in your week. But that doesn't mean that WWE is going to start treating it like anything serious.
No, and it's going to be a classic cruiserweight type of match at these pay-per-views. It's probably going to be one of the best matches out there, maybe. But yeah, it's going to be a Gulak win, just to get his title run established and get him as the big dog of that. Oh dear, I've just slipped into WWE terminology there.
It happens.
It happens, but. Yeah, it'll get him established in that division as the champ. So it'll be a good match. But that's all. That's kind of what the cruiserweights are. It'll be a good match. It'll be enjoyable. Yeah, and the champion will win until it feels like he shouldn't win. I don't think Drew Gulak should lose anyway. Especially not after that match he had with Matt Riddle at Evolve. I think I'm amazed it didn't get him called up to the main roster. I mean, that was a brilliant match. What do I think will start the pay-per-view? I will say AJ Styles versus Ricochet for the United States Championship, because what I'm hoping WWE does is say to them, look, you guys go out there and do whatever the hell you want. Try and steal the show as best you can. And while I understand that WWE doesn't really like to build their cards like that, I think it would be a tremendous opener. I imagine AJ Styles will win. That's a difficult one. I like it and I dislike it. Like, I want AJ Styles to win because I think the club needs to feel like something that's a threat. But Ricochet losing again, even if it is by some kind of distraction from Gallows and Anderson, feels a little bit cheap. So I don't really know what direction to go in, but I also don't think that's a bad thing, simply because am I going to get mad if AJ Styles wins? No. Am I going to get mad if Ricochet wins? No. Like, it is almost a win-win. But my main concern is make sure, because I think the matches they've had have been good, but I don't think they've been as good as those two can do. So I'm keeping both my fingers crossed that this is the one where, if you are tuning in for SummerSlam, because it's SummerSlam and it's one of those pay-per-views you'll always check out, you can absolutely love it. Yeah, if it opens the main pay-per-view, then setting the standard, AJ Styles and Ricochet. Yeah, pull out that match that we all know that they've got in them, and just fly at each other. They're capable of it, and I'm a bit like you. Like, I don't want Ricochet to lose, because he's still. I mean, he's more established now than he was a few months ago.
Yeah,
he's definitely made that turn into he's legit. But I don't. Again, it's that whole thing of you've got to keep the club strong. You've got to show them. Maybe if Ricochet wins, then AJ Styles just tears on him, and shows, well, actually, you know what? I don't want him to do a roll up, but
well, dude, I would tame your expectations straight away.
I know, but something like where it's a win out of nowhere kind of thing. Maybe what I know it's the WWE way of doing a match, but have a finish that's not a finisher.
Oh, yeah, they don't do that. I was watching, of all things, I was watching Triple H versus Cade and Murdoch the other day. Now, this is not a good comparison at all because it was during that time where Triple H just couldn't lose. But something I did appreciate was that he won by Spinebuster. Now, I know why he won by Spinebuster because he's like, I don't need to use my finishing move on these geeks. Yeah, okay, that's a whole other conversation. I mean, just in terms of the visual effect. Getting him, his Spinebuster did look good, and then seeing get the 1, 2, 3, I was like, oh, that was really nice because that was really different. I appreciated it,
and it will shock the audience. It will shock the crowd into going, oh, hold on, because there is a pattern to the WWE match. We've watched enough. We know the style. It builds up and it builds up, and finishes tend to be. The first finisher doesn't work, and then it's the second. But that would be quite a nice way for that match to end. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great match. I definitely look forward to that. And if it is the first match, then yeah, it's going to set the standard for the rest and everyone else. Basically, you've got to keep that standard up. You've got to match us. That would be fantastic.
I think so. Who you got then? I'm going to go AJ Styles. I think they'll keep it on him.
I'm going to go AJ Styles as well, even though I don't want Ricochet to lose. It's a reluctant.
Totally agree. Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon. If Owens loses, he will be forced to quit WWE. I'm terrified because there is just no way in a million years that Shane McMahon should be winning this match. As we already touched upon, Kevin Owens should win. It should make him more of a babyface, and then Shane McMahon should go away. Even if it's a month, that's fine. I don't care. 4 weeks. I don't mind seeing Shane McMahon when he is used directly. So 4 weeks away. Obviously, my fear is that they won't do that and somehow Shane McMahon will win, and then I've really got to question what we're doing. But I will go with Kevin Owens, and I will go, it should be a proper war. It should be a proper fight. I don't mind Shane McMahon getting some offense in if that's what you'd like to do, but just make sure it's a nice stunner, middle of the ring, 3 count, Owens wins, Shane looks devastated. If you want to beat Elias up on his way to the ring too, that's fine. Whatever, I don't care.
It was interesting because I had a watch of their Hell in the Cell match, and I watched the build up because weirdly on the network I got it gave me foreign commentary, so it was so bit of teething problems there for the network. But I watched the vignette and how Kevin Owens was complaining. Kevin Owens is the heel. Shane McMahon was the face, and Kevin Owens is saying to Shane, well, you just make everything about you, and it's all, nobody wants to see that, and I'm fed up of having to fight under a McMahon regime. And then, 2 years later, roles are reversed, but the story is everybody's fed up of seeing Shane. It's the same story, but it's great just to see Kevin Owens get his teeth into something and have some fun with it and look like he's enjoying it. And yeah, if Shane somehow wins, I don't know.
They can't. It just can't. It's just the worst thing ever. I feel like on this show, I'm bringing up the horrible solution where it's maybe he could win. But no, it has to be Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens has to be the one to put down Shane McMahon. Absolutely. I think it's the only way they can go. But of course, the worry is he is a McMahon, and I get it. If it was my company, it was like the Millers. Maybe I would do the same. Maybe I'd be like, no, mate, my kid doesn't lose. So it's not the first time it's going to happen. I think we have something with Kevin Owens here, and I don't think we should take that frivolously. So I would go with the logic, and I'll put my bucks behind Kevin, and hopefully just a nice brawl, smash it up. And I think that's why it works as the second. I'm not saying it's going to be the second match, but it's why it would work as the second match because they'll have a decidedly different match to what AJ Styles and Ricochet will do, and then they can hopefully still go crazy, but it won't matter that they're following each other.
No, and the first match, AJ and Ricochet is a classic sort of one for the wrestling fans. Well, the Kevin Owens Shane McMahon is the sports entertainment match, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's a good sort of palate cleanser in a way. Yeah. You don't get bored of the wrestling because sometimes that can just happen. You see too many good matches following each other, and you're like, oh, I'm getting a bit overwhelmed. So yeah, get Shane and his sweat in there, and off we go.
All right, done. All right, we're on the same page so far. Let's see if that continues with Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair. Interesting match. I like Trish Stratus a lot, but it doesn't. For one reason or another, it just doesn't feel like the crowds. I mean, it would be different in Toronto because she's from Toronto. They'll go crazy, but it certainly feels a little bit like. It doesn't feel like a legend returning, and I'm not 100% sure why. I guess it's just one of those, sometimes things don't click. That's just life. Like I say, on the night she will do because she's in her hometown, and she's already said it's going to be her last ever match, so she's ticked a lot of boxes. But while I'm excited, I think it's a good match to have on the card, much like the Goldberg thing. I enjoy seeing legends come back. Yeah, it just feels a little bit like, okay, that's cool. But I still think I'll enjoy it. But I don't see anything but a Charlotte win. Like, if it's Trish Stratus' last match, you don't need to. I know I'm going to be hypocritical later when I talk about Goldberg, but it's all about context, and I just think it benefits Charlotte more getting a win over someone like Trish Stratus.
Mm. Yeah, it's. I think this match suffers a little bit with Goldberg's match. If you had just Trish being the legend, then I think it would have been a bigger deal. And also, I don't think
that's fair.
I don't think they've really built it as much as they could have done it. It seems to have come from nowhere, which is possibly the case. I mean, they may have had discussions with Trish and brought her in and said, look, are you ready for this? And she maybe said, yeah, go on then. Let's do it one last time. Last time in Toronto. Yeah, same as you, really, with it. I can only see Charlotte winning. I remember this time last year we were talking about the SummerSlam card, and Charlotte had been inserted into the Becky Lynch and Carmella match, and everyone was up in arms. And it's like Charlotte will pull out a great match from anyone. And with Trish Stratus, with her pedigree from her past, she was great, So this match is going to be fantastic. And yeah, so far, yeah, I'm agreeing with everything. Charlotte to win this one, Trish to sort of bow out graciously, and sort of, if we have a handshake at the end or an offer of a handshake and Charlotte just walking away, that would give Charlotte so much heat.
Yeah, I think as well, because it is Charlotte and she's such a good heel, that she could win by cheating, and that's all right.
Yeah.
I don't think that affects Charlotte at all. In fact, I think that probably adds to her character. So you're right, you could do something like that, and Charlotte still won't accept the hand. Yeah, I think it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Or you can have Trish Stratus lay her out afterwards and get the big pop, send her away forever. That's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
There's no bother there. Let's do Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. Screw it. Let's jump from one to the other. Yeah, I know I'm a hypocrite. It's okay. I can tell you. You can tell me. I love the fact that Goldberg is back. I want Goldberg to destroy Dolph Ziggler in around about 10 seconds. And the main reason is because it's a context thing. I've said this 1,000 times, but I'll say it 1,001. If Dolph Ziggler beats Bill Goldberg, WWE are still going to do nothing with Dolph Ziggler. And I understand Dolph Ziggler fans think otherwise, and I hope you're right, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. And therefore, that means it will be a waste of time. Whereas if in a 6-hour card, I can get Spear, Jackhammer, go home, get the big pop, get Intense Goldberg, who I really love, as anybody who listens to this show knows, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to have a smile on my face. I'm going to give it an up on ups and downs. That's fine. It ticks all my boxes. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely fine.
Yeah, I mean, the Goldberg comeback, I mean, it just hearing that music.
I think it's the best music ever. That or Steve Austin's in terms of getting me all hyped up. It's just the best.
It is, and just hearing the crowd Goldberg, just it builds everyone up, and to get the taste of Saudi Arabia out of everyone's mouth.
Exactly that too, yeah.
It has to be a squash with Ziggler, well, looking like some sort of dummy, just bouncing around that ring as he can, and spear, jackhammer, done, finished.
Yeah. And also, Ziggler will make it look amazing.
He will do.
And I think sometimes you have to give credit to the person selling the move. I know that doesn't tie into the other things that we talk about, but sometimes that is all the more important. Like, I saw loads of people this morning going nuts about this Samoan drop that Umaga gave to Shawn Michaels. And it's because Shawn Michaels sells like a king for him. And that's probably one of the reasons Dolph Ziggler has been brought in, because they know he'll be able to do that. And it will make Goldberg look like a monster. And that's the thing I want in my head. I want the Goldberg looking like a monster, not the Goldberg I had at Saudi Arabia, which I think we can all agree was just a misstep all around.
Yeah. So, to be honest, Saudi Arabia, I enjoyed the first 2-3 minutes of that match, and then you realise something was wrong. And that watching that match made me actually shout out at points.
Oh, me too. Yeah, worry, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my God, he's just killed him. Kind of reaction. And I'm living with my parents, and they literally were like, "What the hell were you watching?" And I'm like, I was watching another guy nearly kill someone, and it was like, I just need to get that out of my head and see Goldberg be Goldberg again, and just do what he does, which is just destroy people in a minute, less than that. And
if we've got to sacrifice Dolph Ziggler, the point is, it's not a sacrifice.
It's
because
not.
He's been sacrificed so much already that look, don't get me wrong. If they turn this around and he does win and they push him to the moon, I take it all back. I'm all right with that. That's all good. I like Dolph Ziggler. I think he's really great. But I don't believe it, and that's the key. I don't believe it.
No, I mean, you could, if you were really pushing it, you could say, well, Dolph Ziggler, the Legend Killer, build up to a Shawn Michaels match. But I personally wouldn't want that. I don't want to see that match. But if you really wanted to, you could maybe do it. But no, Goldberg all the way with this one.
Yeah. Where are we going to go? We are going to go with... that's a good question. I don't know. Bayley versus Ember Moon for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Kind of an interesting one. Because the story, I mean, it's kind of just been like, it's there. And I don't really know how much faith WWE has in Ember Moon, because the booking of her is really, really strange. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's like you said a minute ago, like with Bray Wyatt. What do we do with either of these people out the other side? What's the story? Where do we go? Do we want to change a title? I mean, I would imagine... I like Ember Moon, but I'm a bit worried Ember Moon is just there to have a new face for somebody to... for Bayley to fight, and they have an okay match, and then that's that. Bayley continues on. In fact, I'll go with that as well, but that's not necessarily something... I don't know. It's a really, really, really weird one, I think.
I think what didn't help was SmackDown, where Ember was against Natalya and got stuck in the sharpshooter, and it just didn't feel like Ember Moon was the other challenger to the title. And I loved Ember Moon in NXT, but since she's been called up, it's the classic case of an NXT star gets called up and they don't know what to do with her. And it just feels a bit like last year. Do you remember Ronda Rousey went up against Ruby Riott randomly? And it was just a sort of filler match, but you knew it was going to be good. And yeah, this is what this feels like. We don't really have anyone for Bayley. We could have put maybe Charlotte in there, but that's Charlotte going for the title again. And it does Charlotte some good not to be constantly fighting for the title, I think, having something different. But that's the thing with their women's division. They don't get them to do something different. They're always after the championships. So yeah, I think Bayley comes out as champion, and I think Bayley needs to have a good feud, probably build to Charlotte. So maybe get somebody else in for the next pay-per-view that would do a good job. Maybe, I don't know, Sonya Deville, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I don't really know what their plan with this is. I really don't.
And then, you have the case of what do you do with Ember Moon? Did she go back to doing very little in the background? I don't know. It's a strange thing that they have with the women. They know what to do with some of them, but the others, they haven't got, it'd be interesting, maybe Liv Morgan comes back and goes, I want to have a title shot.
You could do that. No, you could do that. I mean, she's, there was teasing of her having a brand new character. So, yeah, you absolutely could go in that direction. And I think she's got enough popularity that people would enjoy. Yeah, maybe you could do Bayley versus Liv Morgan. But then again, if we do that, it kind of goes to show that we have just put Ember Moon in this position to get to the next point. And that's a bit, SummerSlam, I think that's a bit weak.
It is. It is. As you say, it's the second biggest pay-per-view of the year, kind of. But it just feels like it is in the background and isn't being fully paid attention to. And unfortunately for Bayley, that's impacting her championship, because it's great to have her as a champion, and it's great to see her character evolving. and changing and becoming a bit more hardened and not being the goofball that she was before. So, yeah, we'll see where this goes. I'm intrigued to see. Again, it always is. It's always with wrestling. Where's the next step? What's the next thing?
Yeah, what's the idea?
Keep feeding me more. There's all the fantasy booking that everybody does, but there's a reason why, because we want to see the best, and we all have different ideas of what the best is. So yeah.
I'll go Bayley. I think Bayley retains.
Yep, I'm going Bayley as well.
Becky Lynch and Natalya, I think, is a bit more interesting because obviously we're in Toronto. I know that Natalia's Canadian, and as somebody rightfully pointed out, they don't like the fact that, it's a bit weird to say, "Oh, hometown hero," and she lives miles away from Toronto. But hey ho, that's just what WWE does. I like the build for this. I think they've done well. I am intrigued. The submission match angle is good because it gives it something unique on the card. And of course, there is this bizarre sort of fantasy booking angle that Ronda Rousey returns and, cost Becky Lynch her championship. Obviously, that ties into her being friends with Natalya as well. Now, that, to me, is the dream scenario. I'd love to see that. I think that would be really fun. I think it'd be exciting. I think you get a buzz. Whether or not that means you have to put that on last, I don't know, which that may create controversy too. But moving that aside, because we don't know if that's going to happen, I do not think this is the right... I don't know. You could take the belt off and give it to Natalya in Canada for that big hometown pop. But the fact you're probably going to get that with Trish anyway, even though we think she's going to lose. Maybe then I'm not a belt to changing hands this way. It's a tough one. What do you think?
I'm similar. I think Natalya as a heel champion really works for me. Like hearing her shout stuff and like middle of the match is just shouting to the crowd and bits and pieces. I really like that side of Natalya's character. I don't think her as the pussycat woman that is happy-go-lucky really works for her. So I honestly wouldn't be against them putting the belt on her just to give Becky something to fight up for, to get the man back. Like, maybe have a hokey finish where, well, if Ronda appeared, I think the whole place would explode.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, when Ronda was around, people were giving her a stick, but I don't think people realised what they had until she went. And actually, this division is missing Ronda. And having, if it's last, we know what's happening.
You have to wonder then, yeah.
Yeah, so no, I'd like Natalya to win this. Whether she will or not, no, I'm sticking my neck out. I'm going to say Natalya because they've been building up that sharpshooter of hers the past week. They've really got that locked in and showing how impactful it can be. And Becky selling her legs on Monday night. Yeah, I think, go Natalya. Let's be brave. Let's do something.
Without Ronda Rousey interaction. Yeah?
Without Ronda Rousey interaction, get her to. But then, here's the problem though. Do you get the man to? Well, she tapped to ask her. So
I know that's true. That's true. She has to tap, right? She's got to tap. One of them's got to tap.
So yeah. Oh no, yeah. Becky Lynch, hokey finish.
All right,
somehow.
There you go, dude. There it is. He's called it. I'm going to stick with Becky, but
I'm going to tell you.
All right, done and done. I like it, man. I respect you putting it out there. And we'll do the two title matches. We'll start with Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton. I love the build for this. I love the fact they're tying it in from 10 years ago. I feel like if it means, if you're a long-term fan, you kind of feel like you've got some reward for your loyalty, which I always think is good. And also, if you don't know, I think it tells a fantastic story. And I guess this is probably where, we can start saying in my world that Becky Lynch could win, because I think Randy Orton should win. I think Randy Orton should win the World Championship. I think it makes him twice as much as a heel. I think it would put so much sympathy on Kofi Kingston. As much as I've liked Kingston's run, I think we have come to a point where we could take it off of him, and that's okay. And Orton, I just think, Orton still feels like a star to me. I know, he gets his criticisms, but when he's on, he's on. It just feels right. It just does. And I would like it.
Yeah, I can't argue with you about the Kofi run. It just feels like it's time for a change. And also, I've noticed Kofi hasn't been wrestling the past few weeks, and there is a rumor that maybe he's carrying something. And I think long-term story-wise, Randy winning the title and basically proving that Kofi isn't ready brings so much fire to Kofi, and again, it gives him something to fight up for and go, well, actually, you know what? No, I am ready. I'll win these number one contender matches, maybe if we have them. I'll show what I can do again. Maybe have him against Ali. Kofi against Ali would be a great
with the story as well.
With the story of Kofi's the guy that replaced Ali. Ali's the one that missed out, you know? It would be great. And having Randy walking around as the man, well, not the man, as Randy Orton, big heel, 14-time WWE champion, I think would look great. And he is a WWE guy. He's like a figurehead of the industry. So I would go for Randy. I would go for, maybe Kofi goes for Trouble in Paradise and Randy hits him with an RKO. Just bang.
I would like. I think, again, while you could probably book somewhere where there's shenanigans, it's much more fun if it is the out of nowhere. Orton's got a big grin on his face, you know, cat that got the cream kind of a deal, runs away with that title. Kofi looks devastated, has to once again fight his way from the bottom back to the top. I like that story, and I'd be invested in it.
Yeah, and I think the build would be great, and if Kofi has to take a little bit more time off, and him coming back again would be fantastic. That pop again would be, he's back, here we go, he's going for that title.
Absolutely.
Give him a run.
Absolutely. And then we get to what I assume is going to be our main event, but who the hell knows? Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins for the Universal title. We talked about this briefly on the other show we did the other day as well. I can't, in any feasible way, see how Seth Rollins wins this match. Because how can you have a wounded person come in and beat this guy you just booked as a monster? That means nothing. All that does is ruin both of them. I think WWE's backed themselves to a corner on this. And again, I said this, but I say it again. That's not saying that I want Brock Lesnar to hold on to the championship and vanish. I'm just saying, from what I've seen, I don't know how you go the other way. I really don't. No, and
from Monday night, where Seth came in all battered and looked. You don't say this much about wrestlers, but he looked pathetic.
Yeah, he did.
He there was no sympathy there. He looked like I watched him do that, and I was just thinking, what are you doing? What's going on? And like I hinted at it earlier about last year, we had a babyface that nobody was really keen on going against Brock Lesnar in the shape of Roman Reigns, but we were like, give Roman the title, just give him the title. We're ready for this change. Now we have a babyface who is not getting the sympathy, he's not getting the fans behind him, and Brock is looking like Brock Lesnar. He's looking special, he's looking fantastic, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember why I liked Brock. He's a scary guy, and he looks like a champion, not Seth Rollins. But then what do you do with Seth Rollins afterwards? He needs to be rebuilt, and I mean, it's weird looking back on it. And this time last year, he was absolutely tearing it up as the Intercontinental Champion, and everyone was desperate to see him go against Brock, and he had all the support. And yeah, I think he's suffering from his although his win at WrestleMania was shocking, the way he did it was not the babyface way. It was clever. I mean, punching Brock in the balls was, you do that. He's got the size advantage. But if he tries to do that again this weekend, it won't, and he wins, it won't feel right. It won't feel like that's the way of a babyface. If he wins, he needs to win the cleanest he can possibly be. And the build suggests that he can't do that. He's got to use tricks again. For me, Seth tries to do his tricks and Brock beats him. He's prepared for it. because I don't think you can book Brock looking stupid, and I don't think Brock would allow that either.
No, I think that's the problem. You're in a really odd situation. But if that is the case, you can't have Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar main event the pay-per-view. You just can't. No. You can't have Brock Lesnar winning his title. There'll be boos, especially in Canada, my word. Everybody will be, they'd be super pissed off.
Yeah, exactly. So that isn't the main event. So we get to the problem of what is the main event. But yeah, I just can't. I personally can't see it. I want Brock to keep the championship, and then can we have Braun build up and become a champion? Because we had this last year where he was building and he was building and he was building, and then they dropped the ball completely when he won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Can we get to that point where Braun is ready to take on Lesnar and become the babyface champion everybody wants to see?
They got a lot of work to do. They're going to do that. Braun
do.
Strowman, yeah. I don't even know how he feels at the moment. But yeah, I'm going Lesnar. I'm going Lesnar. My brain says Lesnar. I can't see him going the other way. So it's Brock Lesnar all the way for me.
Yeah, I'd hate to be the guy that agrees with you again. There's only one match we've disagreed on, but yeah, Brock Lesnar for me. Just can't see it with Rollins. It just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. It's been a very, very strange thing all around. In case you're interested as well, talking about the SummerSlam card, Cedric, Alexander, and Drew McIntyre may be being added. I would say that Drew McIntyre would win that if that has the case. But Ali and Nakamura and Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan apparently are not going to happen on SummerSlam anymore. They are going to be held off for a later time, which I'm not against because the show's already going to be well too long. And also the reason they did Aleister Black versus Sami Zayn on SmackDown was because apparently Vince McMahon had rewritten the show and realised he still had an hour left to fill. So of course he looked through the card and he went, you know what, I don't really care about those two. They can just do their match now, which they did. And the worst news about all the SummerSlam stuff is that apparently Daniel Bryan's career-changing announcement storyline has been scrapped. So thanks very much for that, WWE. Thanks very much for making me care. I thought that could have been really fun, but nope, we weren't allowed to have any fun with that. What a ridiculous situation it was.
It was. I mean, yeah, for him to just... Well, the fact that they got him to walk out there and pretend he was going to say something clearly with no intention of saying anything.
I know, no idea, no plan.
It just, yeah, and this is what we were kind of saying, that like there's the seeds of change, and then there's still the old stuff getting in the way, and yeah, wow, the stuff like Daniel Bryan not having a match at SummerSlam. What? What on earth?
I don't necessarily mind it too much because I quite like the storyline that they're telling with Roman Reigns. Because obviously it means that Roman Reigns wouldn't have a storyline either, and I'd much rather that neither of those two had a match that instead of us rushing it. And that's my big thing. So in that sense, I'm fine. And it's nice to shake things up, I guess. It's nice to shake things up.
It is, and this whole who's trying to knock over Roman Reigns storyline is if they'd have rushed it to a conclusion for SummerSlam, it would have been awful. We still don't know what they're doing with it. They might pull out a segment at SummerSlam. Who knows?
I think they'll do something at SummerSlam. Absolutely, I think they'll do something on the card. Yeah,
they'll do something, and maybe someone attempts to get him again. And it was quite interesting to see. After SmackDown, they released a WWE exclusive interview with Bryan and Rowan walking through the corridors, and after the revelation from Drew Gulak, not Drew Gulak, who was it? Buddy Murphy. And Bryan basically was saying that it was typical media spin, just shouting it down and saying, no, all that's been said is a name. If I was beating you up, you'd give me a name.
Exactly, yeah, I thought it was well done. And
it was very well done, and it was very good way of just, keeping this story going. It's like, who is the guy? It's like last year when we had the whole Aleister Black thing, and he'd been attacked, and just letting it flow and letting it have a nice long build, get a few more attempts in at Roman Reigns. I mean, the more surprising, the better. Because I don't watch the shows as they come out. I watch them on YouTube, and it didn't surprise me what happened. But I take it from people that do watch it that it was a surprising thing to see this car suddenly attack at the side of Roman and take that car out. So more stuff like that would be great.
I think so. It's been fun as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with the weekly television shows. I think you have to, in a way, get away from the wrestling in a bit, because you normalize the amazing matches, or you water down the matches, should I say, and people just get a bit bored of seeing the same guys going at it all the time. If you can bring in, like, the 24/7 championship, these background stories where it feels more like a shared universe again, then it's fantastic. It's great. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. We'll see what happens, and we'll find out as well who is actually the guy behind it.
Yeah, exactly. And what the motives are as well. And of course, on that note as well, maybe we'll get Buddy Murphy versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe that's where Daniel Bryan gets involved. I don't know. I think we'll find out more than the next 24 hours as WWE often does. But I think it'll be a good show. I think it'll be an interesting show. I think the build has been pretty decent. And yeah, I'm excited to see where we are come Monday. I really am. I hope we've got lots of stuff to talk about.
Indeed. I think everything that can happen this weekend, yes, we've kind of said it's champions retaining all the way, but the champions retaining with stories that can be driven off them. So yeah, we'll see. Maybe Kevin Owens isn't in the WWE on Monday. That would be
mate, dude, you never ever say never when it comes to World Wrestling Entertainment. And on that very negative note, we will start wrapping up the podcast and hope that doesn't happen. But of course, we will catch up with everything SummerSlam on the other end of this. James, is there anything else you want to throw out there or mention before we wrap up?
Just if you are on the Facebook page, Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Facebook page, there is a fantasy football league that we're setting up because the football season starts. So yeah, there's a code on there. So just join the group and join the league. What
a lovely Facebook group that is. You see, that's why more people should join the Facebook group. Just a good community all round.
It's an excellent group. It's fantastic, and yeah, there's no negativity there.
Damn right there's not. Not on my Facebook group. I wouldn't allow it. I'd kick off. I'd be like, you're out of here. Just smash it right away. Awesome. Well, James, thank you so much for your time. And it was good chatting to you again. And I hope you enjoy SummerSlam, my friend.
It's great to be back. And, yep, you too. We'll see what ups and downs brings.
Yeah, we will. Monday. We will, of course, go live on Monday. NXT TakeOver going down this weekend as well. But as I pointed out, there's no point talking about that. It'll be really good and you'll enjoy it. The end. That's NXT TakeOver. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at SimonMiller316, as already discussed earlier. Patreon.com/SimonMiller316 again. If you'd like to support the podcast, bunch of stuff on there. You can get rewards and whatnot. SimonMiller.BigCartel.com if you're into your wrestling merchandise with me plastered all over it. Otherwise, though, on my YouTube channel as well. Just search for Simon Miller. Have a good weekend. Enjoy SummerSlam as much as you can. I know it's going to be a long slog, but there'll always be talking points coming out the other side. Thank you, and I'll chat to you again next week.